Does topography affect the structure and diversity of tropical forest landscapes? Tropical rainforests make up one of the world's largest and diverse biomes, hosting a variety of endemic species, even though they only cover 6% of the Earth's land surface. They can be categorized as forests found within wet tropical lands, growing up to 28 degrees north and south of the equator. Due to being located so close to the equator, tropical rainforests receive over 200 centimeters of rain per year and have uniformly high temperatures. In order to facilitate one of the world's most diverse ecosystems, 4 distinct layers provide a large variety of habitat and niches for species to thrive. These are the forest floor, the understory, the canopy, and the emergent layer.
Tropical forests can be affected by many things. Topography was the factor that was looked at in this study, which can be defined as the study of forms and features of land surfaces. And when we think of topography, this is the sort of image we think about. But how exactly does topography affect tropical forest function? Topography is composed of terrain relief, curvature and slope. These factors have a direct impact on the soil chemistry, microclimate and water dynamics in tropical forest systems. It can therefore be said that topography has a direct impact on the conditions under which trees and vegetation can grow. The main biological question posed in this study was whether topography shapes the structure, composition and function of tropical forest landscapes. Now let's look at the imaging systems used in this study. ALS and LiDAR are active remote sensors. They work by emitting radiation at a certain wavelength, and they record the radiation which is reflected back at them. They give a high degree of detail in mapping with a high resolution image, and increasingly unmanned aerial vehicles are performing this instead of planes. Once the ALS data has been collected, it is then run through certain software and models in order to create what is known as a point cloud. These point clouds can then be merged to form polygons, as seen here, and texture is then added in order to generate the full 3D image.
Airborne laser scanning was coupled with species richness and hyperspectral imaging in order to assess how topography can shape the structure, composition and function of tropical rainforests, and in particular the Sepilok Reserve located in Borneo. By flying the sensor over the forest canopy, a point cloud was generated, classifying points into ground and non-ground returns, therefore producing a digital elevation model displaying topography. The digital elevation model was then used to produce a normalized point cloud. From this, a canopy height model was then constructed for each of the 3 forest types, as seen in the image below. The mean top canopy height and the gap fraction at 20 meters above ground were then also calculated. After assessing the results, it is clear topography greatly affects structure and composition of the ecosystem. The top canopy height, as seen in the graph on the left, declined progressively with elevation, supported by previous work on carbon allocation strategies. In areas of high elevation, soil nutrients and water become increasingly limiting. Tree species therefore tend to focus on survival rather than height growth. Canopy height was greatest in valleys. These trees invest heavily in height growth to escape the shaded understories. Gap fractions also decreased with elevation. As elevation decreased, the canopy structure became much more uniform and compact, highlighting that subtle differences in elevation can contribute to driving strong changes in the composition and community dynamics. Taller trees result in much higher turnover rates. This is due to large crowns and shallow root systems being susceptible to strong winds and flooding, therefore creating large canopy gaps when they die. As a result of this, the tallest forests are not the most carbon dense. Areas with mid-elevation and lower gap fraction are seen to have the highest above-ground carbon density. This then leads to complex associations between topography, carbon density, and species richness of the entire ecosystem.
The exciting thing about this area is that these systems can be used in both terrestrial and marine habitats, giving us crucial information about them in order to aid in their conservation. Looking to the future, unmanned aerial vehicles will take the brunt of the workload, given that they are cost-effective and they can cover large areas of habitat in a short space of time.